right, boys and girls, we are going to look at another notice and note strategy. Hopefully I won't be dark the whole time. There we go. So we looked at contrast and contradictions the other day when a character does something opposite to what we're anticipating them doing, stopping and asking ourselves, why is the character doing that? And today we're going to go for the concept of a memory moment, because in Schooled, Gordon Corman's book, in chapter 8, I think it lends itself well to looking at a memory moment. And what that is when an author chooses to interrupt the action to tell about a memory. You want to stop and notice, why is this memory important? Okay? And it's going to probably tell you something about the character's thoughts and feelings. And so we want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves and our understanding of the story by thinking about these different strategies that authors use to engage us in understanding their story. So, to help you, because I know that poster's teeny, we're going to do memory moment. When the author chooses to interrupt the flow of a story to tell about a memory, you're going to stop. Why might this memory be important? Now, in my class later, we'll probably discuss some of these more. You're going to want to fill out the discussion question. If you are just watching this with your class or somebody else, then you can go ahead and journal write on your own. So again, we're looking at memory moments today, and I want you to see where the author takes a break. We left off with Mrs. Donnelly's perspective. She was really looking and thinking about how Kat must feel very odd indeed going from Rain's universe into public school and somebody else's home and learning a whole new way of life. And now we're going to hear what Capricorn Anderson absorbed from the experience. Chapter 8, name Capricorn Anderson. I really missed Rain. My whole life, whenever I got confused, there she'd be to explain it all to me. One time, I remember, we were in Rutherford laying in a supply of tofu. We grew our own fruits and vegetables at Garland, but everything else had to be brought in from outside. Then we stopped at the hardware store to stock up on duct tape, which was just about the most useful thing on earth for a farm commune. It repaired roofs, walls, pipes, cars, furniture, and boots. At least a quarter of Garland was held together with the stuff. It made an instant cast for a broken finger and even pulled splinters out of your skin. Before I was born, when there were lots of young children growing up in the community, all those diapers used to be fastened by squares of duct tape. There you go. But when we got to the store, there was a group of people blocking the entrance. They were carrying signs and chanting. They seemed to be really angry about something. Rain explained that the employees were on strike, standing up for fair treatment. She thought it was an excellent idea. She refused to cross the picket line. So we drove 20 miles out of our way to buy our duct tape. We came back, though, and marched with the strikers for a couple of hours. Rain even let me unscrew the knobs to let the air out of the tires of the boss's car. Rain said the trip was the purest form of education learning by doing. I sure could have used that kind of wisdom now, with so much going on in my life and so many things I didn't understand. Like bullfighting. I asked Mrs. Donnelly about it, but the subject really seemed to bother her. She advised me to ignore anyone who mentioned it again. So I looked it up in the encyclopedia, and I figured out why Mrs. Donnelly was so upset. Bullfighting is a cruel sport where innocent animals are tormented, tortured, killed, and have their ears cut off. I needed Rain more than ever to ask her why a school would have anything to do with that. But she was out of the picture. This was a decision I would have to make on my own. Really, bullfighting? Pretty extreme. And I did. The next time I saw Zach Powers, I put my foot down. I am not going to ask Mr. Gazaski about bullfighting anymore. I object to it on moral grounds. He said, I respect your honesty, and shook my hand. As he walked away, I noticed his shoulders shaking. Overcome with emotion, I guess. I was beginning to see that growing up knowing only one other person had some serious disadvantages. Without Rain as my mentor and guide, I was lost. The school made me dizzy. I spent half my time wandering the halls, asking people directions to rooms they'd never heard of. Students were constantly peppering me with questions I didn't have the answers to. And now, a girl named Lorelei Lumley was writing me notes about how she'd love to run her fingers through my hair. Why would anybody want to do that? The closest thing I had to Rain was Hugh Winkleman. Hardly a replacement, but at least he was willing to help. We ate lunch together every day, and I found myself honestly looking forward to that regular meeting where Hugh could explain things to me. "It's obvious," he said. "She's in love with you." "I don't even know who she is." I hadn't learned more than 15 or 20 names at that point. Hugh was disgusted. Typical. I've spent my whole life in this dumb town, and I've never gotten a girl to give me a second look. And here you have someone named Lorelei throwing herself at you. You can't let that slip through your fingers. Ask her to the Halloween dance. What's the Halloween dance? Only the most important social event of the school year. Not that I'd ever been to one. His eyes narrowed. If you were the 8th grade president, shouldn't you know about it? I hope not, I said worriedly. Hugh looked dubious. Well, you probably shouldn't go by me. I'm not exactly Mr. Popularity around here. But I think the president plans the whole shindig. Refreshments, decorations, music. Something tingled directly beneath the peace sign I wore around my neck. I was developing a sixth sense for when trouble was coming my way. But what good was advanced warning? Advanced warning of what? I wasn't going to understand it anyway. Maybe that was my mistake. At even trying to understand. Garland was so simple. 7 acres of land containing exactly 1 house, 1 barn, a vegetable garden, fruit trees, a pickup truck, and only 1 other person. Maybe in a place as complex as C Average Middle School, it was impossible to analyze every single thing that happened. Like, what were those little white paper balls that I kept brushing out of my hair every night? Was there so much paper in a school that the molecules eventually clustered and fell like precipitation? And how did a pickled brain and all those other weird objects get into my locker? I thought the whole point of a locker was that no one could open it but me. I sure never put pink goo and a dead bird in there. Rain always recommended meditation for stress and confusion. But if you meditate in front of your locker, someone might steal your sandals while your eyes are closed. I had to go home barefoot on the school bus that afternoon. I know complaining is a negativity trip, but it was hard to stay positive about the floor of a school bus. It's a collecting place for the filth, smelly, sticky, and often sharp and jagged cast-offs of a society run wild. If I'd ever questioned why Rain and her friends gave up on city life in San Francisco and founded Garland back in 1967, 5 minutes on that bus explained it. The dark underbelly of the human animal was turned loose on that vehicle. It was crowded, noisy, dirty, rowdy, and uncomfortable. People fought, shrieked, threw things at one another, and tormented the hapless driver. It was an insane asylum on wheels. Now, that is a beautiful statement because it's very descriptive. It was an insane asylum on wheels. By the time I made it to the Donley house, my bruised and bleeding feet were decorated with lollipop sticks, chewing gum, hairs, broken soda tabs, straws, buttons, and something I couldn't even identify. To make matters worse, Sophie caught me in the backyard, hosing off my feet at the outdoor tap. "Nice," she muttered. But the thing is, her expression said she didn't think it was nice at all. Lately, every time I talked to Sophie, she looked like she had just eaten some turnips that had been harvested a week too late. Her face twisted into an unpleasant contortion that made it hard to see how beautiful she was. But I tried my best because I knew about her disappointment over her father and the driving lessons. I realized my good fortune at being raised by Rain, who never broke a promise and never let me down in any way. The more I thought about it, the more I wanted to do something nice for Sophie, to make her feel better. But how could that ever happen? Every time I went near her, she practically bit my head off. I'm sure I'll come up with something. So hopefully you noticed some memory moments where the author stopped the action and had the character explain something from the past. Okay? And you ask yourself, why might this memory be important? I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Take care. Bye.